Hi, good evening, everybody. Andrew is back at last after it feels like a 6 month holiday. Andrew, how long was the holiday?
Not long enough.
Long enough.
Not long enough.
It wasn't much of a
I,
holiday because you loaded how many Seeds of Love profiles?
yeah, we are on 1,500 at the moment.
Yeah,
So
you loaded 1,140 from the 13th of December. I kept you busy.
yeah, so now I need a holiday.
No, no, no holiday. We need to get to the 2,000 mark. There's 1,938 Seeds of Love members. We need to get them a
Yeah,
profile each.
we'll be there. We'll be there before the end of
Okay.
the week. Not this week, next week.
Yeah, next week. My screen is
Mm.
AYA again. I think I've got a bad connection here. Right, Andrew, dazzle us with whatever you got that is interesting. I know that we did discuss, and in the previous call, I couldn't remember what the topic is going to be. So just feel free to hit us with 15 minutes
Yeah,
of very wise words.
we were talking previously about communication and the importance of communication and listening and speaking. And we were going to continue with those life lessons. But before we continue with those, I think we can do that next week. I thought let's talk about abundance because that's a word that comes up very often in this community and various other communities, and people are quite at ease to throw the word abundance around with a very maybe narrow understanding or mindset of what abundance actually is. Because I think the world tries to tell us that abundance is just having way too much. And as Stefan said to me on a phone call this afternoon, your little 1100 Nissan Bucky still goes from A to B the same way that a 8 million rand Bugatti does. So, you know, we have to get this understanding or this mindset of what abundance truly is and what is abundance for. And I think what I've experienced in the journey with this community so far is that we share a very common mindset in wanting to help and wanting to support and wanting to give. And that's a very good foundation for the understanding of abundance. And Stefan has always said as well, and it's true, you can't give from an empty cup. You can only give from a cup that is full. And if you start giving from the cup that's only half full, then you're actually going to jeopardize yourself. So abundance is a full cup. But how big is the cup? And that's what you have to determine. If you wake up every morning and you're able to get out of bed and stand up and say, "Thank you, God," and walk to the bathroom and brush your teeth and go to the kitchen, put the kettle on and make a cup of coffee, you've already entered into abundance for that day because you've got more than enough. Now you have to decide, what are you going to do with that abundance? What are you going to do with this gift that you've been given? You know, they say yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a present. Or and it is. What are we going to do with the gift of who we are in the abundance that we've been given today? So understanding abundance is very, very important. I am more than enough. The way that I've been created and the way that I've been put together and the brain that I've been given and the capacity that I've been given in my physical body is more than enough for the task that is given to me in my journey on this earth. Yes, there are things that we would like, there are things that we would desire, there are things that we want, but I am, as I am, more than enough, already living in a place to receive the abundance in this journey. How do we get to that place of overflow? By actually releasing some of what is already in the cup. That principle of sowing and reaping that I shared about right in the beginning. You can't obtain more than enough. You cannot obtain that overflow unless you are pouring out. You know what happens if they don't open the sluice gates in the dam? That water becomes stagnant and all these funny things start to grow in it. They've got to flush it. They've got to release some of that. What are you doing with who you are in this day? How much of yourself are you giving? I've spoken before about this man called Job from Scripture and how everything was taken away from him. And he was a man of great wealth, and he was blessed by God. And everything was taken away from him, his wife, his kids, everything that he had. And he sat under a tree, and he wept and he whined and he whinged and he moaned and he grumbled against God for about 40 chapters of the book. And in the second last chapter, something clicked inside his head. And he realized, but hang on, I am more than enough. And he changed his thinking. And instead of moaning and grumbling and worrying about himself, he started praying for his friends. And when he did that, it says in Scripture, and when Job had prayed for his friends, God restored everything that was taken from him and more. So we got to make space in our cup to receive that overflow. But if we are journeying already with this abundance mindset, that abundance is the overflow, then we're wrong, because we'll never get to that overflow. You know what happens when we try to pursue the overflow? We become hoarders, and we try and get and gather as much as we can. And we start jumping into different opportunities and spreading ourselves so thin that we lose focus on the crops that we originally planted. And that's where we lose. That's where the locusts come and they destroy. That's where we start to actually destroy ourselves, because we're not focused on where we're going. And yeah, people say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's true. But make sure that the first egg or the first seed that you planted is producing fruit before you start trying to produce fruit somewhere else. You can't plant the one crop and neglect it and expect that is actually going to bear good fruit for you. It isn't. Remember, I've always said the first fruit of every crop is never the best fruit. So you got to cycle through it. And I'm not against multiple streams of income. I'm not against people looking at other opportunities, but don't do it prematurely. Don't take all your seeds and scatter them like a lottery and hope that some of them are going to grow. That's just being foolish. Plow the field, plant the seed, work with it, nurture it, let it grow, let it bear fruit. Take from that fruit and plant it somewhere else. People get themselves in trouble because they spread themselves too thin too quickly, and they start taking funds out of their family budget. They take meals off the table because they're just trying to make that quick buck. But there's no such thing. You already have the abundance in who you are. Use your wisdom. Listen to the people around you. Take guidance and allow them to help you with who you are. You are more than enough. All you need to do is to know how to apply yourself to what it is that you are working on so that you can get to that place of overflow. When it starts to overflow, that's the time to start planting. That's the time to start looking for other fields that you can get involved in, but not when the cup is not full, not when you're not sure of the abundance mindset that you need to journey with, in knowing that I am more than enough. So waking up every morning, taking that first breath, getting that first cup of coffee, opening your curtains, being thankful that you've got that roof over your head. No matter who you are, it's a gift. Today is a gift. Live in that gift, because it's not promised, and there is abundance in this day, an abundance of opportunities, an abundance of seconds that make up the minutes, that make up the hours of the day. Just use it wisely and apply yourself living in that mindset of abundance. And if we can understand that, and we don't chase after the overflow, then we can succeed and we can progress. But if we are constantly focused on the overflow, we will never, ever achieve it. It's like a surfer trying to catch the perfect wave. If he's out there and he's just constantly paddling and paddling and paddling, he's going to miss it. You've got to time it right. You've got to make sure that you're in the right position, and then you will succeed in taking that wave. Dis my story.
Is that your whole story about abundance?
Yeah.
Nicely put, yes. Now, people think abundance is a big car and a lot of money in the bank. I measure
How many
abundance.
people are you helping?
I measure abundance. How many people can I help each day, or each week, or each month? That is how easy it is. My cup is empty. I didn't have time to make coffee because the previous call just managed to upload now. Now, people, abundance is we tend to see it wrong. We tend to see it wrong. I wake up in the mornings and I say thank you. I'm not in a tent anymore. I've got a roof over my head. I've got a ceiling that keeps it cool in summer and nice and cozy in winter time. I've got a kettle, I've got electricity, I can make coffee. There's actually coffee in the container. There's sugar, there's milk. And I can go outside and look towards all the beautiful flowers that's coming up. The seeds from the previous season spread all over the place. I've got orange flowers and yellow flowers and purple flowers, all different kind of flowers. And I've got a rock where I can go sit on and listen to my creator. All too beautiful. All too beautiful. Interesting story I told Andrew this afternoon also, where somebody attacks a person who's got a Bugatti. That's an $8 million car. And he said, why do you decided to choose purple as a color? And the guy turned to him and he said, what color is your Bugatti? It's still a car. Takes you to the same place as the 1100 little Nissan Bucky or 1400 or whatever it's called these days. Easy as that. Right, anybody got any questions for Andrew? He didn't speak long today. So there may be a question or two about abundance that you want to be more clear on. Feel free to put up your hand or unmute and just ask away. Andrew is ready for you. Silence. Andrew, we'll have to start nominating people, or I'm going to hire people to ask questions. Because our crowd here is, it looks like they know everything. Definitely looks like they know everything. Can't be. Can't be.
There's some names I haven't seen on the call before.
Yeah, there's a few new people. Butch, she's on here, which I haven't seen before. iPhone, I don't know who iPhone is. iPhone sounds like a very dangerous man. There's a new ad now on YouTube of two couples with their children introducing each other at a church gathering. And the children are all named for the towns that the couple visited 9 months before. And then there's twins. They called Bella Bella. It's a very good advertisement. Right. Krista, also I haven't seen before. Welcome, Krista. Rocky is on as usual. Rocky, you never asked me a question on a motivational call, all for Andrew. You always got a lot of questions for us on the other calls. Get a clever question towards Andrew. I need to put Andrew on the spot. He's been off for how many weeks without anybody harassing him with questions? Give Andrew a good question, please.
I got a question.
Yes.
People talk about affirmations with an I and afformations with an O. Can you explain the difference? Do you know the difference, perhaps? I only heard about it yesterday.
There you got a good question.
Affirmations and afformations.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of an afformation?
No, I probably have, but I wouldn't say yes for certain. But I would think that one is for somebody else and one is a personal affirmation and afformation.
So I believe that the difference is one is I affirm that I'm going to do something, that I'm going to be something, that I'm something like in the future. And the affirmation is I am already. I am already abundant. I am already whatever.
More than enough.
I'm already in my Bugatti, purple one.
Purple one of her.
I thought that was something French that you eat.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to eat that spaghetti.
Yeah, not if it's purple.
Rocky, do you have an Oxford dictionary in your house?
No, but I was born in Pietermaritzburg, which is the last of the British outposts.
Oh, goodness, scary. I can't find the word affirmation in the English the dictionary.
Yeah, I only heard it yesterday for the first time. I'm actually going to try and Google it and see if I can get more information about it.
Yes. See what you can find and send me the links. I would like to read more about that. Google changed it to
Okay, will do.
affirmation. Google changed it to affirmation.
Yeah, with
Affirmation.
the
Yeah,
I.
we need to. Yeah, the one with the I. We need to investigate the one with the O. So if you find anything, please send me the link so that I also want to have a look there. Definitely, that sounds very, very interesting.
Yeah, will do.
Now, live
Okay.
in the now.
Cool.
Get up in the mornings. I can clearly remember a few instances in my life where I was pleasantly surprised. About 2 years ago, my mother was still alive. My father-in-law, or my stepfather, came to pick me up for spending one or other occurrence. I don't know what it was. My sisters was also there. And his car overheated. And when we stopped, we realized the radiator cap was off. Now, in this whole process of getting water and getting the car to cool down, and my mother buying another radiator cap and bringing it through, and it was the wrong one, my stepfather stepped on my foot. Now, for you that knows about my foot history, I've got severe pains at times, and they're not very healthy for the last 4 years. And I was in deep, deep pain. And I said to my mother, the first thing we do now, you take me to the pharmacy. I want some stuff for pain and some ointments and stuff. And she asked me, do I have a bank card with me? I said, yes, I've got 72 rands and 54 cents in my bank. And we went to the cashier, and she wanted to take out her card. I said, don't worry. It came to something like 450 rands. I gave my card to the cashier and the transaction went through. And there was a balance left. Somebody during the morning deposited some money somewhere. If you live with the certainty that you will be provided for, not what's in my life, not one single time that I go to bed hungry. Not once. There's always something to eat. That is abundance. Last night, no, it was early morning hours, about 1:30. I decided I want to make something to eat. So I took 3 jumbo eggs. I scrambled them. And I took 1 tomato. I cut it up. And I took about 1/3 of a cucumber. And that was my midnight snack. I've got something that I can eat if I get hungry in the middle of the night. Worked about another 2 hours and then slept for a few hours. That's how easy it is. You will always be provided for. You do not have to have millions and millions and millions in the bank. Your abundance is measured about how you are provided for by our Creator and what you can help other people with. And that is how I live my whole life. Give away. If you have, give away. Help people. You just need to discern what are you going to give away. It is not a good thing to give somebody 50 rands who's standing in front of the liquor store. Then you walk to the spa or the Pick n Pay next door and go buy him food. You don't give money to a person standing in front of the liquor store. Use your common sense that God gave you. And then you'll give away the right things. Very easy to give stuff away. Last week I was in a very lucky opportunity or situation where somebody wanted to fill 50 rands of fuel in a car. And I said to the petrol attendant, put 150 in. She then gave me the 50 rands. And she had 150 rands of fuel in her car. We went to the shop. And I bought a few things for myself. And she wanted a few things. And it's not going too well with this woman. She lives in a warehouse here on the plot where I stay. And she looked at a few things, which I then added in the trolley. And she had a few things in her hands. When we came to the cashier, I said to her, I'm going to pay for everything. And she said, no. She said, I'm going to scream. I will scream. And I started talking louder. And then she put the things down so I can pay for them. Didn't cost me much. It was maybe 250 rands of her stuff. And I then told her, I'm getting my fruit and vegetable delivery the next day. come fetch some stuff. It's too much for me. Come fetch a few potatoes or onions or half a watermelon or whatever they bring for me. And that little things, the simple gifts. There's a beautiful song called Simple Gifts. Go search for it on YouTube. It's a simple gifts that you can give out. But I can do that because my cup is always full. My Creator provides. He makes sure my cup is always full so I can give away. It's sometimes something very, very small. Simple gifts. Right, that's all I've got to say on that.
But it's always full because you always.
Say again, Andrew, you broke up there. Why is
I
the
said
cup
your
always
cup
full?
is always full because you always give.
Yes, there's more space for more stuff to come in. That is very important. Right, I see Krista said, hello, she's on the call.
And so when you've learned, when
I've learned what?
When you've learned that principle, like you have, then what happens is the size of the cup increases.
Exactly. The size of the cup increases. I'm actually, and to keep the people busy, I want to find my mother's cup quickly.
In fact, yeah, while you're gone, I want to just share a few people from the community knew that in March last year, my dad was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and he spent 1.5 months from March till the end of May making peace with the news and going around and greeting everybody and saying his final goodbyes. And there was just no treatment for the cancer that he had. They couldn't use chemo, radiation wouldn't work. He's been struggling with skin cancer for going on 9 years, and they've removed many bits and pieces off of his skin. But the cancer had grown between the skin of his skull, and it started growing through his skull towards the brain. And they said he literally had a couple of weeks left. So he made peace with this fact and got himself to a place where he actually had nothing left except the peace that was in his heart. And he went to the UK for my brother's wedding, and the wedding came and went, and the time frame that they had given him came and went, and he sat and he said, well, what now? You know, I'm supposed to be in the clouds already. And he came back to South Africa, and he went down to his brother in Port Elizabeth, and his brother's 11.5 years older than him, so he's by no means a youngster and not really in a position to support anybody. And my dad asked him, could he just live out the last month or two of his life there and see where the road goes. And in July, end of July, he was swimming out in the ocean in Summerstrand, and he got dumped by a wave, and he hit his eye quite badly. And the cancer had actually grown in behind the eye socket, and he'd lost all vision in his left eye. And now he bumped that eye, and he was quite worried about the whole thing. So he went off to see a doctor. His oncologist is in Cape Town, and he's now in Port Elizabeth. And he got hold of the oncologist who put him in touch with a group in Port Elizabeth, and there was a support group. And somebody said to him, after he'd had it checked out and everything, and there was no damage, real damage, they said there's actually an Australian company that's in Port Elizabeth who are doing a clinical trial on a drug that is actually specifically to target your type of cancer. So my dad said, well, how would I apply? So they gave him the information, and he got hold of the application forms. You have to be over 60. The cancer has to be terminal, and you have to be of a reasonable fitness level. And my dad's a bit of a fitness freak, and from age 60 decided to take up running, and he hasn't stopped running ever since. So he's quite fit, and he'll be 70 next year. So he went and he applied for this thing, and he had to go through a whole lot of trials, and he was accepted for this whole procedure. And they started to administer the first set of infusions on the 3rd of August this year. And after the 8th infusion, his left eye was completely open, and the vision was restored. And he's been for 12 infusions now before the end of 2022, and he's been declared cancer-free. Now, why am I telling you this? What's this got to do with abundance? Well, he had to realize what abundance was and be given a second chance in life. God had to empty his cup, and he had to learn to fill that cup with the right kind of things. And in the journey that he's experienced now with this cancer and being faced with so-called certain death according to man, it made him realize what life is actually all about. And so he's now starting 2023 with a completely new mindset and a completely different outlook on life. And I praise God that he got him to that point and has turned his cup around, you know. And now it's very interesting to see the new things that the cup of is being filled with. And we see where God will lead him in that journey. But yeah, amazing.
Yeah, that is a very good testimony. God can change anything in whichever direction he chooses. Let me show you 2 cups quickly. This is a normal size cup where I drink my coffee out of. And I one day said I would like a bigger cup. And God will always provide. And when my mother died, well, the week before she died, she gave me this one. It's about double the size. And now if you turn it around, if you can read there what it says.
Number one, mom.
That is the last present I got from my mother while she was still alive. And I gave this to her about 20 years ago. So she gave it back to me. Wonderful. All right. Anybody wants to say something quickly? We've got about 5 minutes left. Anybody wants to say something about the week? How abundantly were you blessed during the last 7 days? We must have at least one person on here that can tell us something.
Captain, may I just say something? Yes.
Yes.
I think I'm thoroughly encouraged about the way we should look at abundance. And the One Hand initiative for the girls that I'm running here in Kenya. Some friends of mine just sent me a whole lot of school fees for 4 girls just this week. So as soon as the schools open, the girls will be in school, and it has nothing to do with me. At some point I felt, okay, so I'm paying the school fees for the girls, and what about my grandchildren? And then what you've just shared has really challenged me, that I can reach out to other people, and once I make one step towards God, he'll make 10 steps towards me. So I think I'm really encouraged this evening just to do that.
Good. That's good. Yeah, the steps is important. A lot of people sometimes say footsteps in the sand. There's only one set of steps. And the person asked God, why did you leave me alone? God said, no. That's my footsteps. I carried you. I carried you. It's not your footsteps. I had to carry you because you were weak and you didn't pray enough. Mirja, you also wanted to say something. I saw you unmuted. There's 3 minutes left.
Okay, I hope I can finish in 3 minutes. This goes back about 2 weeks. A friend of mine approached me. She needed to buy some crypto, and I know a little bit, but there were some things that I didn't know about. So I said, I'll ask another friend. And I contacted this other friend, and this friend said, no, she or he, I'm not going to say whether it was a he or she, but let's say he. He said he's not going to give us the advice. He is going to personally send that crypto that needed to be sent by my friend. So, of course, my friend was in tears, and I was in tears because of the goodness and the kindness of this other person. And anyway, it was done. And then a little bit later, somebody sent me money on Wise, and they sent double the amount that I was supposed to get. So I contacted them and I said, but you sent me too much. And she came back to me and she said, oh no, she made a mistake. Could I send the difference to somebody else? And I said, of course, yes, I'll do that. And a minute later, she came back to me and said, I mustn't send it. It's a gift to me. That extra that they sent to me was a gift to me. So, you know, it's just, from one, and these two friends of mine, the one that I asked for advice, the one who asked me for advice, and the other one that didn't give the advice but made the transfer, they don't know each other. And I wasn't allowed to say who it was in case they should know each other. And then the person who sent me the extra money on Wise, I don't know that person either. So it's just all because of goodness of God, you know, the abundance that comes from him. So I give all glory to him. There was a little bit more things, but
in strange and wonderful forms sometimes.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That is true. And sometimes it's going to be the exact amount that you needed. That little extra, but yeah, good to hear that. All right, we've got about a minute left. Everybody, we'll see you next week. The Zoom schedule is posted somewhere. We've got Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday calls. One on a Monday, one on a Tuesday, two Thursday, and one on a Saturday. Next call is Saturday, 1 o'clock, general update call. Unmute, shout bye, and then I'll get the recording up. The previous one is uploaded. I'll post that now. And this one, I've got a slow connection. It's going to take about an hour.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Stefan.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.